to announce it and promote it.
Okay. So it's 2 or 1. Do you want me to start the webinar to allow participants in? Now we are on practice.
I believe you can start, yes.
Okay. I will be the first speaker for a short Turkish opening. Then I will give the floor to Tarık Bey. Then Tarık Bey will give the floor to Odysseus.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good morning, günaydın from my side also.
Good morning, Nikolaos. We just started and we are waiting for enough number of participants to start.
Okay.
Now we
I
have...
will join also with my web. I'm joining through web browser, so I will start also with Zoom player, just in case.
Okay.
And then I will try to log out from the other one. Open Zoom. Okay. Join this video.
Recording in progress.
Sorry.
That's sorted.
Nikolaos, we are starting now, so I will make the opening speech in Turkish. Then I will give the floor to Tarık Bey. Değerli katılımcılarımız, kıymetli KOBİ'lerimiz, 12.sini düzenlenen KOBİ'ler için webinarımıza hoş geldiniz. Açıkçası bizlere ve düzenlediğimiz etkinliklere aşina olan, sistemsel olarak nasıl ilerlediğimize dair bilgisi olan mutlaka davetlilerimiz aramızda yer alıyordur, ancak bugün bize ilk defa katılan KOBİ'lerimiz ve davetlilerimiz için bazı hatırlatmalar yapmak istiyorum. Öncelikle kendimi tanıtmam gerekirse ismim Kemal Onur Güngör. Sizlere proje ekibi ve TÜBİTAK adına hoş geldiniz diliyorum. Bugün bizlerle Türkiye'den Sayın Serkan Bolat, kıdemli KOBİ uzmanımız beraber olacaklar. Aynı zamanda projemizin eğitim koordinatörü Nikolaos Floratos Beyler bugün yine bizlerle beraberler. Yine projemizin takım lideri Odysseus Spyroğlu da bugün bizlere eşlik edecekler. Bütün sorularınıza yanıt vermeye çalışacaklar. Aynı zamanda da EIC hızlandırıcı ve EIC geçiş programlarına dair gerçekleştirecekleri sunumlarla sizlere yardımcı olacaklar. Projemizin ana yardımcısı olan TÜBİTAK'tan ise Sayın Tarık Şahin Beyler bizlerle bugün birlikteler. Tarık Beyler EIC KOBİ Ulusal İrtibat Noktası olarak yine hem bizlere genellikle yaptığı yönlendirmeler dolayısıyla yardımcı olacaklar, hem de sizlere yine sorularınıza istinaden hem kurum bakış açısı yönünden hem de tecrübeleri aktarmaları yoluyla sizlere faydalı olacaklarını ümit ediyoruz ve etkinliğin sonunda da sizlerin bir başvuru hazırlama konusunda daha fazla bilgilenmiş olacağını ümit ediyoruz. Etkinlik süresince Q&A butonunu kullanabilirsiniz. Q&A butonu Türkçe Zoom kullananlarda soru cevap şeklinde yer almaktadır. Bu Zoom butonu aracılığıyla bütün sorularınızı kişiye özel ya da ortaya, İngilizce ya da Türkçe fark etmeksizin iletebilirsiniz. Etkinlikten sonra sizlerle sunumlar paylaşılıyor olacaktır. Hangi yere paylaşılacağını da, hangi proje web sitesi bağlantısına yükleneceğini de sizlere bizim aksesimizin bulunduğu chat ya da Türkçe kullanan için sohbet butonu aracılığıyla iletiyor olacağız. Ben şimdi sözü daha fazla uzatmadan projemizin ana yaratıcısından Sayın Tarık Şahin'e devretmek istiyorum. Tarık Bey, söz sizindir.
Teşekkürler Kemal Bey. Merhaba, herkese hoş geldiniz. Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you all to this distinguished webinar, which will be provided by our experts. The event, all the presentations will continue in English, of course, but first of all, I would like to make a very small welcome in Turkish language, sorry, to the experts, and then come back to you soon. Merhabalar, hoş geldiniz etkinliğimize. Gerçekten katılımınız bizim için çok değerli. Öncelikle Turkey Horizon Faz 2 projemizin yeni dönemi hayırlı olsun dileyelim. Kısa bir ara vermiştik projenin faaliyetlerine. Bir takım bürokratik işleri halletmek üzere ama şimdi yeniden projemiz dolu dizgin bir şekilde yeniden başlamış oldu. Ekibe de başarılar diliyorum bu yeni dönemde. Şimdiye kadar başarıyla yürüttüğümüz etkinlikleri yeniden aynı hızla yapmaya, proje kapsamında devam edeceğiz. Ekip büyük bir hırsla çalışmaya devam edecek. Biz de elimizden geldiğince onlara destekler vermeye çalışacağız. EIC programı bildiğiniz gibi her türlü projeyi destekleyen bir program. Biz de bu bütün Ufuk Avrupa programından sorumlu ulusal irtibat noktası olarak alanlardan sorumlu kişiler olarak burada uzmanlar olarak burada çalışıyoruz. İsmim Tarık Şahin. 3. sütun diye bizim tasvir ettiğimiz Yenilikçi Avrupa sütunu altındaki programlardan sorumlu olarak çalışıyorum. Sorumlu olduğumuz EIC programı özellikle bugünkü etkinliğin odak noktası olacak. Her türlü projeyi destekliyor. Bütün teknoloji hazırlık seviyesindeki fikirlerin desteklendiği bir program. Tabii her bir programın kendine has koşulları var. Özellikle KOBİ'ler için Accelerator programının çok önemli olduğunu biliyoruz, düşünüyoruz. Bilenler mutlaka vardır zaten aramızda. Bunlarla ilgili detaylı bilgiler sizlerle paylaşılacak. Özellikle tek başına başvuru imkanı, yatırım sermayesi sunulması gibi birçok avantajlı bileşen içermekte Accelerator programı. Ayrıca şunu da belirtmek isterim, ben tabii ki sunumlar çok detaylı bir şekilde yapılacak sizlere. Bugün ben programlarla ilgili detaya girmeyeceğim ama 2 aşamalı bir başvuru sistemi var Accelerator programının. Özellikle Short Application kısmını, 1. aşama kısmını ben her zaman şunu söylüyorum. Eğer programda devam etmeyi düşünmüyorsanız bile en azından 4 tane Avrupa çapındaki 4 tane hakemden yorum almak için bile bir Short Application mutlaka yapılmalı. Dolayısıyla KOBİ'lerimiz bu gözle dinlerlerse sunumları çok mutlu oluruz. Transition programı da yine kendine özgü çok önemli bir program. Bugün onun hakkında da bilgiler sizlere sağlanacak. TÜBİTAK Ufuk Avrupa Ulusal Koordinasyon Ofisi olarak bizler de bu programlarla ilgili her zaman sizlere destek vermek üzere faaliyetteyiz, çalışıyoruz. ufukavrupa.org.tr bizim web sitemiz. Web sitesine girdiğiniz zaman üyelik kısmı var. Üye olursanız bizlerden gelen bilgileri birinci elden alma imkanına kavuşursunuz. Kim kimdir kısmında yine web sitesinde bizlerin iletişim bilgileri de bulunuyor. Ben sözü çok fazla uzatmadan herkese verimli toplantılar diliyorum ve programa devam etmesi için Odysseus'a mikrofonu bırakacağım. We will continue the program with the presentation of our expert Odysseus. So I wish everyone a fruitful meeting. I would like to remind that I will be here during the event. If you have any questions in Turkish language or which can be directed to TÜBİTAK, I will be here in order to reply your questions. Thank you very much for listening to me. Odysseus, over to you.
Thank you, Tarık. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be here again. I have a very short introduction on our project. Most of you probably have already seen that, but I'd like to remind you what we have in place for you. And as far as the agenda goes, we will present the EIC work program for 2023. And we'll try to give you an introduction on the Pathfinder, the Transition, and the Accelerator programs, the prize and business acceleration services that are involved in that. And then we have 2 different presentations on EIC Transition and EIC Accelerator. I hope that they will be very useful for you, and they will give you an overview of what you have to expect in the coming months. So let me share my screen and show you what we have in place here. Okay, so can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, very good. So this is our team. I am the team leader. We have with us Nicolas Floratos, Adamandios. Unfortunately, we don't have Serkan in this table. I will correct that, Serkan. Sorry about that. You will be there as well.
No problem at all.
And then we have a good team that supports us. So we started back in 2019 with Tech in Horizon 2020, but of course now we have moved to Horizon Europe, and support will continue throughout 2023 and till the first months of 2024. Our key objectives is to help you increase your participation in Horizon Europe, and that of course includes EIC as well. And through that, we want to strengthen the capacity of science, technology, and innovation. So usually SMEs are in the innovation side, but we also have the research institutions and the academic institutions in the R&D side. And of course, help Turkish researchers collaborate closely with European researchers in this research area. By Turkish researchers here, we often mean SMEs, so owners and innovators and people working in SMEs that are participating in Horizon Europe projects. We have we provide a range of activities to support your companies, your institutions. We have a number of training events like the one that we are seeing now. We have online events, but we also have some physical events. And not only for SMEs, although we have a specific group of events dedicated to SMEs. We have already organized a mentoring program and some direct support to SMEs in the past years of the project. And we will continue with project writing trainings and project writing camps and these webinars. We will organize also a big brokerage event in Brussels after the summer, probably in September or October. We will keep you posted on that. We will announce it early enough in our websites. And this is where you need to go to have a look at all the work that we have done so far. So we have a new website in TÜBİTAK from which you can learn all forthcoming proposals and forthcoming calls and all announcements from Horizon Europe. But I think the most useful asset of the program is the help desk. It can be reached in the address that you can see in the screen. And in that you will find all the training material, all the presentations and templates, notes from all the trainings that we have implemented so far. In addition to that, since even the physical trainings that we are hosting are hybrid, you will be able to see all the videos, not only from the webinars, which is obvious, but also from the physical events that we have organized the past year. That's all from me. No, sorry. I wanted to show also one slide from the some statistics from this is from the EIC pilot. It lasted till 2021. Now we have, of course, the EIC accelerator, and we have the EIC European Innovation Council, which has the three tracks: the EIC Pathfinder, Transition, and the accelerator. But you can see some useful statistics, and I think that you will find the whole these statistics very useful when you're preparing your proposal, and I urge you to take a visit there. It is in funding and tender portal, in Horizon dashboard. You will have a good idea of what are the key players in this area, what are the proposals that we have submitted so far, under which calls, and so forth. Before I give the floor to Serkan, I'd like also to note that the EIC is not the only project that is useful for SMEs. Yes, it is the only one which is dedicated to SMEs. And the funding in EIC is bigger than any other funding in Horizon Europe. However, there are plenty of collaborative opportunities under the clusters, under widening, under other pillars of Horizon Europe. And I think that you should also explore them. We are often hosting training events to promote all these opportunities. And keep in mind that in most of the proposals, in most of the calls that are announced, SMEs are, participation of SMEs is actually mandatory. I mean, all consortia need to include SMEs in that. So don't overlook these opportunities, and don't believe that only EIC is for you. EIC is a great scheme. It's an excellent program, and this is why we have this dedicated event, but it's not the only one out there. Today, we will focus though in EIC, and we will start with an overview. Serkan will open with an overview of what we have to expect in 2023. Thank you so much, Serkan. I believe the floor is yours, and you can start with your presentation.
Can you see my screen now? Can you
Yes,
hear me
yes.
and see my screen?
Yes, but not in presenter mode, Serkan Bey.
Yes, now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Perfect.
Okay. So let me take this out of the screen. Oh. Okay. So thank you very much, Odysseus. Greetings from a sunny, beautiful Istanbul day. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us. Today, I have two presentations. The first one is about European Innovation Council's work program in 2023 and news updates, what's coming for Turkish entrepreneurs, what kind of opportunities we will have in Europe. And my next presentation will focus on EIC Accelerator and how we can prepare short, full applications and how we can prepare for the jury interview. Before I start, oh, this doesn't move. I cannot click next. I cannot skip to next slide. Can I just go back? I guess I have a problem with slide sharing. Kemal, are you there?
Yes, we have. Can you try now again, Serkan?
I guess it will be fine now. So before I start my presentation, let me remind you that EIC AI platform, which is the dashboard that you will submit your applications and that we as the evaluators will evaluate your proposals, is in progress. So whenever I check out this AI platform, I always see new updates. Online forms are revised a little bit. So you always need to check the updates and specific guidance on the EIC AI platform, no matter what information we share here with you today. You also need to go and check specific call web pages on the funding and tenders portal. to keep yourself up to date. So a little bit background about myself. I work as an AIC expert evaluator for the European Innovation Council and previously other units managing similar programs like SME Instrument and Fast Track to Innovation Pilot, Fast Track to Innovation, and other European funding programs, including Eureka and COST. So I evaluated about 1,000 proposals in the last 10 years, I think, and almost all of them were coming from SMEs, startups, companies. They were about deep tech, disruptive breakthrough innovations, and SME supports. So I pretty much developed cumulative observations and insights from all those evaluations. And one of the best things that I like about being an evaluator is that you have an opportunity to look at and know what kind of technologies and solutions will be developed in the future. So I kind of have access to future because most of the proposals submitted for EIC support are launching their products in 2030 or later years. So let's start with Horizon Europe because European Innovation Council is part of Horizon Europe. So both European Innovation Council as a whole and all the proposals, projects submitted for EIC support will need to serve ultimate Horizon Europe impact goals. As you see, we have three major impacts we expect from the projects: scientific, social, and economic. For most of the part, EIC proposals are submitted for economic impact. They need to create jobs, they need to create growth, they need to serve European technological sovereignty and market leadership in competitive and strategic industries. Beyond that, we have sustainable development goals. We are not just after developing new technologies, more and more technologies. We always want all those technologies and new solutions to tackle our challenges, to serve our happiness, peace, planet, shared values. Usually, we just want to live a happy life with our loved ones. So all those technologies, unless they are linked to ultimate United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, are usually useless for the evaluators, for venture capital firms. Among those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, gender equality, health, stopping hunger, competitiveness are, I think, the most important ones for both EIC evaluators and customers of EIC-supported innovations. So why do we have European Innovation Council? The founder of European Innovation Council, Jean-Éric Paquet, explained the reason for developing a European Innovation Council and its support programs is to create scale-ups, unicorns in Europe to support breakthrough technologies and game-changing innovations, particularly if they have a chance to scale up internationally. So if we have 2-3 keywords to define European Innovation Council, it could be deep tech, scale-up potential, and breakthrough technologies. So European Innovation Council is the largest deep tech investor with its more than 3 billion euros of budget just for the investment. Overall, it has total budget more than 10 billion euros for Horizon Europe program, and 70% of this budget will be allocated to SMEs through EIC fund and grant programs. It intends to provide a one-stop shop for the entire research, innovation, and scale-up needs, not just funding, but also including business acceleration services. Through EIC fund, it invests in SMEs with entrepreneur-friendly approach and crowding in investors by 1 to 3, which means if you receive €1 investment from the EIC, you will likely to receive investment from private VC companies, 3 to 5 euros for each €1. And it has both bottom to top and top to bottom calls. Open calls are open to all kinds of industries and project teams, as long as they are breakthrough, innovative, game-changing, important innovations that will influence leadership in Europe. There are also challenge calls that are specifically certain problems that Europe will face in the next 10 years or so. These challenges are defined annually and published in the work program. So one of the keywords here, deep tech innovation. What is deep tech? Deep tech means your innovation is based on scientific advances, and you keep doing your exploration and research continuously. Otherwise, you will be just one of deep tech innovator, but 2-3 years from launching your product, you will be a typical innovator. So this long process for R&D and continuous process for capital need requires patient capital. And most of the European VCs do not have this much patience. So that's why European Innovation Council intervenes and try to de-risk technological risks, particularly in your innovation, so that private VC companies can be more interested in and can be co-investors along with the EIC in your project. But high tech, digital tech, or just because you spent long years to develop your technology doesn't necessarily mean it is a deep tech project. Deep tech means it is based on scientific progress. But we also need to keep always people in our mind, because we are eventually in people business. So as Erdogan said, science may never come up with a better communication system than the coffee break. So we always need to embrace design thinking and human aspect in our innovations, and always keep in mind our ultimate purpose is not to progress in science, but progress in our humanity, peace, and happiness. So who are these people behind European Innovation Council if we are in people business? We have Jean-David Malo here. He is the director, the boss in European Innovation Council and SME Executive Agency, which organizes all these programs, funding programs, and European Innovation Council. We have Keith Sequeira, who organizes EIC board events and relations. And we have 3 program and head of units for Pathfinder, transition and accelerator programs. If you need anything with the business acceleration services, VC meetups, or finding overseas fairs to participate, your go-to person is Agnieszka. And we also have program managers who organizes those challenge calls, scope, and expected impact of those challenges. They are not in this organization chart right now. So European Innovation Council is part of Horizon Europe. All these clusters have their own work programs, but European Innovation Council and European Research Council here publishes their work programs annually. European Innovation Council and European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT, are in close collaboration all the time, although EIT is outside Horizon Europe. So one of the most important sources for our legal guidance are reference documents page under Funding and Tenders portal. If you go to this page, you can search funding and tenders opportunities. You can participate in these programs, and you can check reference documents. Here we have EIC work program for 2023. These reference documents also include proposal templates, evaluation criteria, model grant agreement templates, and all the reporting structure forms templates as well. So basically, European Innovation Council offers 3 major funding and support programs: Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator. They also have prizes for women innovators, Innovation Capital City, Rising Innovation City, Innovation Procurement, Social Innovation, and Humanitarian Innovation. They have separate calls and small prize amounts. They are announced every year in EIC summits. But basically, core part is Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator, which are divided under technology readiness levels. As you know, technology readiness levels is an indicator, kind of an index, to measure how you are close to market deployment. If you put 0 here, TRL 0 is just an idea. TRL 9 and above, market. So this means European Innovation Council your innovation projects from idea to market and growth and scale up under 3 different programs. If you are at an early research stage, if you are targeting developing intellectual property, proof of concept, publications in top journals, your go-to source is Pathfinder. It is open to both single entities and consortia. 3 to 4 million euros of grant is available, and 100% of your total project budget is reimbursed by the EIC. And I think this year 100 projects can be supported through this Pathfinder program. If you pass Pathfinder or through self-funding or from other funding sources like TÜBİTAK or other European programs, including ERC, proof of concept, if you develop your proof of concept, you can apply for transition support to mature your technology and business, both to develop a prototype. This means you will be at TRL 3, preferably at TRL 4, and then you will reach TRL 5 or 6. Here, transition covers this area, this development maturity, and up to 2.5 million euros of grant is available. And I think about 60%, about 60 projects can be supported. And Nicolas will be talking about transition in detail after me. So there is also accelerated project, which I will have a separate presentation in 30 minutes or so. If you already developed your prototype, you have a visibility, you see scale-up potential, market demand, you can apply for accelerated support to develop and deploy your innovation for scale-up and market growth. You can apply as a solo applicant, as an SME. I will talk about these eligibility issues in detail. Up to 2.5 million euros of grant is available. 70% of your total budget will be reimbursed. 30% co-financing should come from you. And I think about 230 projects can be supported through this program in 2023. So this accelerated program has several different financing instruments, grants or equity. If you receive just grants, you will be satisfied with grant-only projects, and you will deploy your innovation through your own financing, revenue, or other private VC companies. If you apply for investment part, European Innovation Council fund and co-investors, if you'd like, will be investing in your company. European Investment Bank will be dealing with due diligence, and Alter Domus, a private asset management company, will manage the investment agreement and later stages. So what's happening in European Innovation Council recently? Well, currently we had a cutoff date for EIC accelerated full proposals 5 days ago. So their evaluations are in progress. We also had a cutoff for EIC accelerator in January. Their results aren't published yet, but it can come out any minute. EIC Pathfinder open calls received their applications. About 800 proposals were submitted. Less than 10% of them will be awarded Pathfinder grant. European Capital of Innovation Awards call was published, so different cities from Europe, including associated countries. Previously, Istanbul, Ankara, and several cities applied for this award. And EIC Transition Program awarded 27 projects for its open call and 7 projects for challenge calls. There are also different calls published under EIC Acceleration Services, and EIC also manages a lot of partnerships with different agencies, associations, and large corporations to give support to EIC beneficiaries or Seal of Excellence holders. One of them is called for internationalization. They are looking for partners from all over the world, including Silicon Valley, China, and South Korea, so that European companies supported by the EIC can have access to international markets, both in terms of partnership to develop their supply chain, but also attract investments and customers in those regions. I talked about open goals and challenge goals. Here are the general outlines of those challenges. So Pathfinder has 5, Transition has 3, and Accelerator has 7 challenge goals. But no matter what, you can still apply for open goals with any idea from any industry. But if you are specific to certain technology industry, it is better to target a specific challenge because there will be specific dedicated budgets for those challenge goals. Here are our deadlines. This March the 22nd is just I mentioned in a minute ago, Accelerator Open and Challenge goals. Today is March 2017, so we have these goals approaching. And Accelerator short proposals can be submitted anytime. And then the full proposal will be the actual funding submission for you. Short proposals are just aimed at screening of your ideas, innovations, and team. So how you can apply? First of all, you should create a personal account on the Funding and Tenders portal at the first step. Second, you should register your organization on the same portal as the account holder. And then if you apply for Pathfinder or Transition, you need to go to Funding and Tenders portal, download the latest application forms, fill them out, turn them into PDF files, and submit them through Funding and Tenders portal. If you are going to apply for Accelerator support, then you need to go to EIC AI platform and fill out the online form and upload certain mandatory and optional attachments through that form. Evaluators will be also using that AI platform to evaluate your proposals, and your evaluation reports will be published in that platform again. So here is the general view of proposal evaluation process for Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator programs. For Accelerator, there is a preliminary application. It is called short proposal or short application. It is a very short 5-page document. It's not a document, actually. You will fill out online forms, but if you print it out, it takes 5 pages. But you don't need to print anything and submit. It is already there. You just need to click the submit button. All programs, applications are evaluated against traditionally under 3 criteria: impact, excellence, and implementation. Of course, their sub-criteria are different in each program and also different in transition, remote evaluation, and face-to-face interviews. And Accelerator program also uses one additional criteria. You need to justify the need for EIC support, justify you cannot raise enough money from the venture capital firms, so you need the EIC to develop and realize this project, and also mention the risks of investment. The more risky, the better for the EIC, because they want to take the risk, they want your innovation come to reality. They don't want you to die between tier 4 to 6 just because you don't have the money to do the final tests and validations and demonstrations. So they want an impact in your innovation. So once you have short proposals submitted and approved by Accelerator evaluators, you are good to go for Accelerator full proposal development through online forms. For Pathfinder Open, you need to download and fill out a 17-page at maximum application form. For Pathfinder Challenge, it is 25 pages. For Transition, it is 20 pages. Pathfinder and Transitions are evaluated by scoring the proposal. In Accelerator, we just use voting, go or no go. There is no point-based scoring on a 15-point scale. In remote evaluation, evaluators and projects are matched through their keywords. So choosing the right keywords in your proposal application, it is important to match them with the right evaluators so that they can understand and appreciate your innovation. There is a rebuttal, right to react step in Pathfinder projects, either open or challenge. When you have the remote evaluation from the experts, you have a right to react in 8 days. If there is a factual error or if there's a misunderstanding, you can correct them through your rebuttal before evaluation panel finalizes scoring and ranking to decide which projects will be awarded. This rebuttal may not add any extra additional information or improve the proposal, but you can just correct misunderstandings if there is any. Pathfinder is somewhat different from other programs because challenge portfolio considerations can change the entire ranking of the proposals during evaluation panel. Pathfinder focuses on challenges and problems of the future. You need to provide visionary ideas and solutions for the next 10-20 years so that they have challenge considerations. If there are proposals that can serve those challenges better when they are supported together, a proposal ranked at the bottom can just go up and can be awarded the grant, no matter what its evaluation scoring coming from the remote step. So we have accelerator and transition after the remote evaluation. They are subject to jury face-to-face interviews who will give go or no-go decisions for the proposals. There will be 4 to 6 jury members, and they are free to ask any questions they like for the accelerator. They have separate criteria for transition applicants. There is also a quality control process. It is an internal process within EIC. So remote evaluations are processed by EIC task force members, and they are reopened if there is an issue with the evaluation quality. After the jury approves the proposals, transition grantees can sign their grant agreements. Accelerator applicants can do so. Also, if they request blended finance, they will go through due diligence process and they will need a separate grant agreement with the EIC fund. So finally, I'd like to touch on who those evaluators are. Actually, they come from all over the world, not just European countries. EIC contracted about 1,600 evaluators so far in 2023, and about 40 of them come from Turkey, and most of them come from private industry. Just to compare with European Research Council program, for example, 80% of the evaluators come from academia in ERC, but it is just about 14% if you add them up, come from academia. So in your proposal writing, in your pitch, please consider evaluator diversity. They come from all over the world. They come from all over the disciplines. They are not just technical people, mostly business people, investors. And don't focus on technological aspects only. These are business proposals. Even in Pathfinder, when you put an innovation on technology readiness level scale, that means you imagine what kind of solutions you can develop based on your current scientific research. So it is always important to talk about manufacturability, commercialization potential, market demand, and how you will create impact in social, industrial, and planet environment aspects. So thank you very much for now. I can answer your questions. I have 3 to 4 minutes. If you have any questions right at this moment about EIC work program, let me check Q&As. Evet. I can answer Turkish questions in Turkish. Elif Hanım bir soru sormuş. Merhaba, 2022 yıl sonu itibariyle çalışan sayımız 250'yi geçti. Şu an 280 civarında personelimiz mevcut. Bu durumda KOBİ tanımından çıkıp Small Mid Cap tanımına uyuyoruz bildiğim kadarıyla. Doğru. Small Mid Cap'te hibe desteği alabiliyor muyuz? Accelerator desteğini Kemal sen mi yanıtlamak istiyorsun bu soruyu?
Yok hayır Serkan Bey. Ben buna tıklayınca katılımcılar da soruyu görebiliyor. O sebeple tıkladım sizin adınıza aslında.
Sağ ol, teşekkürler.
Devam edin lütfen.
Sağ ol, teşekkürler.
Estağfurullah.
Doğru, Small Mid Cap kategorisine giriyorsunuz. Small Mid Cap Accelerator'dan hibe desteği alamıyor. Sadece yatırım desteği alabiliyor. Yani TRL 9 pazara ürününüzü çıkarma aşamasına geldiğiniz zaman yatırım desteği şirketinizden hisse vererek alabilirsiniz, başvurabilirsiniz. Accelerator için durum bu. Ama bu şirketin küçük bir şirket, bir KOBİ'ye dönüşmemesinin önünde herhangi bir engel yok. Yani 280 kişinin şu anda o yenilikçi projenin üzerine çalışmadığını bir grubun belki bir Ar-Ge merkezinde çalıştığını varsayıyorum. Dolayısıyla bu 280 kişilik şirketin belki 3, belki 30, 50 ya da 100 kişilik grubu ayrı bir şirket yapısı, yasal ve finansal organizasyonel yapısı altında bir KOBİ statüsünde bütün başvurularını yine Accelerator üzerinden yapabilir ve hibe alabilir. Bu birinci durum. Ama Pathfinder ve Transition için büyük şirketlerin de konsorsiyumların parçası olma imkanı var. Dolayısıyla Pathfinder ve Transition şu anki şirketinizde, Accelerator hızlandırıcıyı da yeni kuracağınız, yeni iş biriminizin finansal ve hibe gidişatının ayrı bir çatı altında yöneterek yine uygun başvuru sahibi olabilirsiniz. Dolayısıyla uygun başvuru sahibi miyim, değil miyim diye bence hiç problem etmeyin. Uygun başvuru sahibi haline dönüşebilirsiniz. Accelerator'a hatta şahıs olarak bile başvurulabiliyor. Detaylarını biraz sonra anlatacağım. Şahıs olarak başvurup eğer hibe başvurunuz kabul edilirse hibe sözleşmesi imzalamadan önce şirkete dönüştürebilirsiniz yine ekibinizi ve finansal, organizasyonel ve diğer kaynaklarınızı, yapınızı. Bu da bir alternatif. There are a lot of questions about Accelerator innovation expectations. Maybe I can leave those questions for Accelerator presentation. Which do you offer for Pathfinder transition at challenge call? Should SMEs make application as a consortium or single? I think this question is debatable. It depends on your company structure, your project innovation, and what challenge you target. Basically, there isn't any difference in terms of success rate between challenge or open calls. So if you already target a challenge call, if your innovation is specifically related to a challenge call, no matter how better you can serve that challenge scope and expected impact, you can still apply for the open call. The only difference between challenge and open calls, or the most important two ones, are first, there are dedicated budgets for challenge calls. So they don't want to miss any important, relevant projects. They have dedicated budgets. The second, challenge calls have specific evaluators that are experts in that specific area. So your innovation can be better understood and also better or more or tough criticized or appreciated. So it's debatable, and we can discuss it later. If you'd like, you can send me an email or ask further questions, and we can talk about those later after my accelerated presentation.
One more comment, if I may, on that, Serkan,
Sure.
regarding transition. One more difference between open calls and challenge ones is that for open ones, as we will see, which are bottom-up, you need to be already, have already created a solution of a specific TRL from specific type of project, as we will see. On the other hand, for the challenges one, because you are targeting specific domains and the list of eligibility would have been very limited, they allow to be your starting solution to come from any Horizon Europe or Horizon 2020 project. So that's also another difference that is applicable for the transition fund.
We have two last Turkish questions. I can just answer them and finish my part. I just had 2 minutes left. One of them comes from Asu Hanım. 900'den fazla çalışana sahip bir firmanın 26 kişilik çalışana sahip Ar-Ge merkezi hibe alabiliyor mu? Eğer Ar-Ge merkezinin ayrı bir ticari, yasal, tüzel kişiliği varsa yani o zaman elbette ki bir KOBİ olarak başvurabilir ve hibe alabilir. Ama eğer yoksa az önce dediğim gibi o 26 kişilik çalışana sahip Ar-Ge merkezinin ayrı bir tüzel kişilik haline getirilip bir KOBİ olarak uygun başvuru sahibi olması yoluna da gidilebilir. Bu anki haliyle Ar-Ge merkezi ne kadar bağımsız, ayrı bir tüzel kişilik mi onu ben takdir edemiyorum. Grup şirketleri olan holdingler var veya büyük Türkiye'nin sanayi şirketleri var. Hepsinin Ar-Ge merkezleri, tasarım merkezleri ya da araştırma ofisleri var. Bunların bazıları kendi büyük şirketlerin çatısı altında faaliyet gösteriyor. Ama bunların dediğim gibi yine ayrı bir tüzel kişilik haline getirilmesinin önünde hiçbir engel olmadığı gibi tam tersine fayda bile var. Çünkü bir girişim sermayesi şirketi ya da EIC size hibe verdiğinde ya da yatırım yaptığında 900'den fazla çalışanı olan o büyük firmanın parçası olmak istemeyecektir. Siz de zaten onları 900'den fazla çalışanı olan şirketinize ortak yapmak istemeyeceksinizdir. Dolayısıyla iş birimleri olarak düşünmek, yenilikçi, inovasyon ve projeyi ayrı bir çatı altında yönetmeye çalışmak, özellikle arka arkaya seriler halinde, roundlar halinde yatırım alacaksanız o şekilde düşünmekte fayda var. Detaylarını sonra konuşuruz. EIC Transition çağrısında TRL 4'te olan bir teknolojiye ya da ürüne sahip bir firmanın başvurması için diye geçiyor. Doğru. Ama mevcut ürünle ilgili sonuçların Avrupa Birliği fonlu projelerden olması gerekiyor diye de geçiyor. O da doğru. Örneğin bizim projemiz 1507 projesi, başvuramıyoruz anladığım kadarıyla, değil mi? Doğru, başvuramıyorsunuz. Sadece 1507 destekliyseniz. Avrupa Birliği fonlu derken Transition, yani geçiş programının iki ana çağrı kapsamı var. Bir tanesi açık çağrı, open, bir tanesi de challenge çağrısı. Challenge çağrısına daha önce Avrupa Birliği'nin Ufuk Avrupa ve Ufuk 2020 programlarından destek almış projelere başvurabiliyor. Açık çağrıya biraz daha limitli, belli Avrupa Birliği fonlarından, programlarından destek almış çağrılar başvurabiliyor. Ya da burada geçiş projelerinin uygunluğu önceki uygun başvurular, projeler içerisinde, konsorsiyumlar içerisinde yer alıp almamanıza göre değil de o uygun başvuruların çıktılarından, sonuçlarından, fikri mülkiyetlerinden faydalanıp faydalanmamamızına göre değişiyor. Yani bu ne demek? Siz Ufuk Avrupa'nın örneğin Cordis veri tabanını tarayıp sizin çalışmalarınızla ilgili daha önce kazanılmış bir hibe projesi gördüğünüz zaman o hibe projesinin çıktılarına göz atıp o hibe projesinde o çıktıları kim ürettiyse konsorsiyum içinde onlardan bir taahhütname alarak, yani biz uygun başvuru sahibiyiz, şu çıktıları, fikri mülkiyetleri ya da konseptleri, prototipleri ürettik ama Türkiye'den bu KOBİ bunları kullanmak için hak sahibidir diye bir taahhütname alıyorsunuz. O taahhütname sizi uygun başvuru sahibi yapıyor. Yani ille de geçmişteki uygun geçiş başvurusu için uygun projelerin konsorsiyum üyesi olmanız gerekmiyor. Bu önemli bir detay. Bence Türkiye'den geçiş projelerine, programına başvuruları arttırabilecek bir detay. So thank you very much for now. The floor is yours. We will meet again in 30 minutes or so, and there will be another Q&A session right after the presentations.
So the floor is mine.
Yes.
Thank you,
please,
Serkan. Yes,
thank you very much.
Nikos, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you for that. So if I may make just a suggestion, it's up to you to follow that or not. Try to, let me share the screen. Try to share your questions, if it's possible, in English rather than in Turkish. I know that it's easier for you, but there are two reasons that I'm suggesting that. One is that you have to write your application in English anyhow. And secondly, whenever you ask a question in English, you will have the opportunity to receive also some feedback from the other experts that are in the panel. So you're going to use the group dynamic. So it's up to you. But as a suggestion, because maybe something has been addressed, so I would like to know whether I need to give focus on that, on the presentation. But have that in mind for the other trainings. So I'm Nicholas, and I don't know whether you have received the presentation. You will see that we have a lot of slides. However, the reason is to give you as much information as possible. I will try to highlight those slides that I believe there is important information. Some others that I believe they are useful, but probably not that appropriate to give focus now. I will not give that much attention. What I would like to say regarding me is regarding the transition fund or the ESEA program in general, I wear 4 hats that I think are very important from all this diverse experience. One is that I'm an evaluator on behalf of the European Commission, also on the EIC programs. So I'm going to give you the perspective of what the European Commission expects to see from your grant application. The second thing is that I'm a trainer, and that can be useful. So I will try to give you the recipe as straightforward as possible and able to understand it and apply it. The next thing is that I am also an evaluator on behalf of other organizations. I'm evaluating and I'm supporting them to write a proposal, so I know the challenges that you are facing. And the fourth hat is that I'm a business angel myself, member of the European Business Angel Network and the Hellenic one. And I believe it's important to have that kind of perspective, specifically in the transition and also in the ES Accelerator call, specifically on those. So all this experience will be accumulated for us. These are the contact details. I'm not going to go through them. I'm not going to ask you to give me your experience. You can do it on the spot. You can, if you feel like it, but I'm not going to ask you because I have something like 20, 30 minutes. So I will try to be as effective as possible. And the session that we're going to discuss here comprises actually two modules. So the first module is I'm going to tell you how you're going to exploit public information related to the transition funds, that it is public available. Sometimes it's not that easy to find, but it can be found, but also how to take that knowledge into your advantage. And this is what we call intelligence. And the other thing is that I'm going to tell you some things regarding the core topics, what you need to be aware, some terms that you might not be familiar, but with some explanation, I think it will be an insight for you to understand better how you're going to address those elements in the proposal. So I will proceed with the first module. And I will start with an important question is why we have the EIC Transition Fund. And then I will discuss what that is. So first of all, and why it is important to know that? Because that question has to be answered in your grant application. So the first element is the why. So if your proposal doesn't support that key purpose, then it will not be funded no matter what. So the answer to the why is that it supports, and I will highlight some keywords, the maturation and validation of novel technologies beyond proof of principle of proof of concepts. And I will explain what that means. This is the definition that the European Commission gives. Business activities towards commercialization. So what does that mean? I will highlight, first of all, the first word, which is maturation. And maturation means the technology maturity advancement. So you have a specific starting point of a TRA, technological maturity. You need to advance that technological maturity level 1 or 2 levels higher. We will see what is the starting point. We'll see what is the end point. Already, Serkan outlined that, but I will go a little bit in more detail for that. So that's the first thing that you need to remember. What should be your starting point in the transition fund, and what should be your end point? And not only that, you need to describe also how you have reached already the starting TRL, and what are the key milestones that you're going to perform, technological milestones for advancing that technological maturity. The second thing that is important is that we need to forget a little bit that we are researchers, and we need to think like businessmen, like investors. So we need to think of some business activities that are needed, not necessarily, and of course this is impossible to do that by the end of the transition fund project, but you need to start thinking already in the proposal how you're going to exploit your solution when you will reach that commercialization point, which is TRL 9, which is the maximum TRL that you can get. So these two elements are very important, and you need to have them reflected in the proposal. For that, we have two types of transition funds. We have the EIC Transition Open and the EIC Transition Challenges. The EIC Transition Open, the keyword here is that is a bottom-up approach. So what does that mean? That means that it's open. You can target any topic that you wish. The topics are not prescribed. We don't have specific short-term benefits that we would like to achieve, or sometimes long-term benefits for that. It is up to you as an applicant to show what will be the short-term benefits, what will be the long-term benefits with your solution in a specific domain, technological domain. So that's why we call them open. On the other hand, we have also the EIC transition challenges, which means that in that case, the European Commission has identified some key technological challenges in specific domains, industry domains. For example, for these calls, we have industrial domain like environmental intelligence, next generation of chips, and nano micro devices for application in medicine. So for these three areas, we have the European Commission has specified specific challenges as well as specific short-term and long-term benefits that they expect those projects to be funded to achieve, and you need to fulfill them. So that's why we call them top-down calls. The top-down meaning that the European Commission has already prescribed what should be the profile, the specific profile of the winning projects, what they have to achieve, what will be the benefits of that, and in which areas, specific domain industry areas. So this is more or less, a nice outline regarding the key purpose of Horizon Europe. Now, who is eligible to apply for the transition fund? Well, first of all, this is for the open calls. Yes, the ones that are the bottom-up calls. So for the open ones, just to clarify that, you need already to be, you need to have already granted a previous project of a specific type. So we have either from the EIC related Pathfinder projects. So we have in Horizon 2020, we had the FET suite, Future and Emerging Technologies. So all these ones are applicable. Also these ones, because they are from FET. Then if you had completed an ERC project and you went further to prove the concept, there is a specific type of ERC, then you are eligible for that. And either it has to, the important thing is that you need to be the owner of the intellectual property of that. So sometimes we might have a university that in an ERC project that created and had that ERC proof of concept, and it's not necessarily the university that should apply. It can apply a spin-off, a startup, another SME, on the condition that they have been transferred the intellectual property rights of the previous project. So this is applicable for the open ones. One more restriction that I think also Serkan mentioned is that the original project, the starting up project, the previous project in open project should have started no more than 12 months or ended less than 24 months before the date of the transition call deadline. So this is something that you need to have in mind, and in order the European Commission to help you on which projects are applicable for open calls. Yes, for challenges, as I said, it is open to any Horizon 2020 Horizon Europe project, so you don't have to worry on this. They created a list of those projects, and this list can be found on by clicking on that link or on that one here. I'm not going to go through that, but it's also, I'm sure that Tarek from TÜBİTAK will be more than willing to help you on that and discuss whether you are eligible to address an open call. I repeat, for the challenges one, you don't have to go through that restriction. Okay, so this is the first remark that I would like to make. And because of that, misunderstanding in many cases, we have in some cases, because now it's we had some non-eligible projects in the open call. So we need to be careful a little bit on the eligibility point of view in order not to have some resources wasted in vain. The other thing is that, as Serkan said, that we have for both open and the transition challenges, we have the same deadline. The upcoming one is 12th of April, and the next one is 27th of April. But you need to remember that there are some restrictions on resubmission. So if you believe that you can, what does that mean? That means that if you are not 100% confident that you can submit a proposal in the next upcoming call, which is very near, in 12th of April, then don't do it. Why? Because if you do it and you receive not a very good mark, which means below the threshold in some of the criteria, then you will not be able to resubmit it for the next 12 months, which means that you will miss the next deadline. So if if you manage to get just in one of the three criteria below the threshold, just in one of them, then you are allowed to resubmit it once in the next 12 months. However, if you receive a mark below the threshold in 2 or more evaluation criteria, then no resubmission is allowed for the next 12 months. So you need to be a little bit careful and make sure that you're confident if you're planning for the next deadline, that you are sure about the proposal quality. Now, I think this is one of the most important for me slides, so I would like to spend a little bit more attention here, because it gives all the life cycle of a project and how that can be supported from different actions in the EIC in the EIC programs in Pillar 3. Already Serkan has that. I will go a little bit in more detail in some of them by first of all specifying what we mean with TRLs. Yes, because it is one of the key criteria that we need to understand, key concepts that we need to understand when we submit a proposal in the EIC programs. So when you have already proved in theory that your scientific concept can work, then you have completed TRL 1, which is technological readiness 1. When you have completed and formulated on paper, in theory, also the technology for supporting your crazy concept, then you have completed TRL 2. Let me give you an example. An example of TRL 1 is when Albert Einstein proved in theory that that it's possible to convert sunlight into electricity just on paper. He was already on TRL 1. He managed to reach TRL 1. When another scientist said, okay, not only from the theoretical point of view, but let me explain you and describe you what should be the technology for supporting that conversion from sunlight to electricity, then we completed TRL 2, Technological Readiness Level 2. Now, not only on paper, now you go a little bit, you go in your lab, and in your lab, you have already completed the first experiments, not all the experiments, but the first experiments that, yes, that's technology. You can actually, with some lab experiments, with some simulations, you can convert sunlight into electricity, then you have completed TRL 3. Then, when you completed all the experiments in your in the lab, so there are no more experiments in the lab, you need to go outside and use it and test it with end users, then you have completed TRL 4. And this is important to remember. Now, when you go outside your lab, because you completed any experiments that you had to do in the lab, and you test it in a minimum scale of end users, so a minimum, in some cases, a handful of end users, then and you receive some positive findings, okay, that can work, then you have reached TRL 5. And when you validate your solution with a larger number of end users, so we demonstrate more or less the technology, but with a much larger number of end users than we in the previous phase, then we reach TRL 6. Now, when we have finalized the testing, with end users, on that. When we finalize the testing with end users, then we have reached TRL 7. So no more testing. We know now what works, and we know now what is further needed for optimizing our solution, but we haven't done that yet. We will do it in the next TRL, but we know based on the testing that we completed what we still need to improve, then we have reached TRL 7. Now, based on the feedback from the testing, we finalize the solution, so our solution is complete, is fully qualified, then we have reached TRL 8. And when we are with our solution, because it's ready now, we penetrate the market, so we're starting commercializing the system by either selling it or exploiting, taking advantage, we have reached TRL 9. So this is very important because, first of all, it shows you the innovation cycle development and progress, but also the starting point and the end point of the different funding schema that exist in an ESC program. So for an ESC Pathfinder, you can have a starting point, either 1 or 2, depending. Sometimes for challenges, you can have a starting point of 2. So you can go, let's say, you can have 2 levels to increase. That's as a rule of thumb. We expect per type of project a 2 TRLs increase. So if the starting point is TRL 1, then by the end of the project, you expect to have reached TRL 3. If the starting point is TRL 2, then by the end of the project, you expect to receive TRL 4. And if it is TRL 3, then you expect to receive to have TRL 5 or sometimes TRL 4. This is where we have sometimes the proof of concept from the ERC. This is where it fits quite well in many cases, if it is not supported by the Pathfinder. Now, if it is the starting point TRL 4, then we expect to reach TRL 6. So this is where the ESC Transition Fund goes, a 3-year project. If it is TRL 5, then we expect to reach TRL 7. This is where we have the ESC Accelerator that starts. Yes, the ESC Accelerator. If it is TRL 6, we expect to reach TRL 7, again, 8, sorry. This is again covered by the TRL 8. And when we have our starting point is TRL 7, then we expect to reach TRL 9. Again, this can be supported by the ESC Accelerator, but not necessarily from the funding, but from the equity participation. But this is something that probably will be addressed by Serkan. So this is important for you to understand the different starting point and end point, depending on the type of the action that you are targeting. And the other thing is that for the ESC, now I'm going to focus on the ESC transition. The maximum grant that you can get is 2.5 million euros. You can have a single applicant in cases that, for example, is a spin-off or a startup, or in some cases, you can have a consortium of maximum 5 legal entities. More information on that can be addressed by Tarek and by Serkan if you would like to find out more. But the important thing for me, and I would like you to recall that, is that your starting point is expected to be something like TRL 4 and finished by TRL 6. So this is where we have a transition one. And this one I would like you to remember because this is very important. So this is the first thing. The other one is that also whenever you are funded under the transition fund, you might get also an additional 50,000 euros in order to explore, to have some business plans, more detailed ones or special ways to commercialize, to see plans or commercializing your solution. And sometimes for establishing some synergies with other projects that have been funded and they are in the same domain, industry domain, the same thematic as yours. And so this is one thing. The other one is that you can exploit the fast track scheme, which means that as soon as you complete your transition fund, then you are not obliged to go through the normal submission of the ESC Accelerator like the other proposals. You can have a special evaluation under the ESC Accelerator, so that can be also attractive because it might have a higher success rate. And also, you receive support, coaching support, mentoring support, also liaising with potential investors, participating in events. So this is also something nice that the EIC is doing for the transition funds, as long as they have been funded. That's the important thing to remember. Now, some statistics based on the deadline, the latest deadline that we had last September. So for the open calls under the transition, we had just 27 projects selected from 12 countries. In the challenges one, we had 7 projects funded from 5. It is the number of projects that are funded is not that attractive, but if you have the proper approach, if you have the key element is not only to give focus on the scientific development, but also on the business development, as you will see, then you have a lot of chance to be have accepted. So as I said, starting point RL 3 or 4. So it has to be a novel technology. You have already validated in at least some first experiments successfully. So there is a proof of concept validated. And you need, of course, to have the intellectual property rights of this technology. So if that has been developed from a consortium before in a FET project, you need to make sure that you have the IPR rights to exploit it. So otherwise, it will not be possible. A nice way to do that is sometimes all the ownership are transferred to a spin-off company, and that spin-off company can be the one that is the applicant. And of course, you need already to have some business market analysis, some preliminary market analysis, but based on desk research, not on actual research, but that is something that is required. And also what is required is to show that there is a team, and this is important because this is where most of their proposals fail in the transition fund, is to have a team, not only scientists, but also business-oriented people in your team. So that's important. Even if it is one spin-off, make sure that that spin-off has some expertise on board on the business aspects of the transition fund. So this is what I was saying here. We have the starting point, the level 3 and 4. There is, of course, the scientific part, the technology track, where we need to increase the technological readiness levels from 3 to 4 to go from to 5 to 6. But also we need to have a clear business track. Always in the grant application, we need to show that there is clear business strategy, how we will commercialize this solution. So there is a lot of business potential. We have realized that there is some preliminary market analysis. We are showing that very clearly in the proposal. And at the end, by the end of the project, we need to have already a solution that we believe that has reached TRL 5 or 6, and with a clear and sound commercialization strategy. Now, it will be by far more detailed as a deliverable than the one that we have preliminary described in our proposal 2 years before. So this is what I say here also. You need to have at the proposal stage some preliminary market analysis, even if that is based on desk research. We don't require to have something more validated than that. So this is very important, and during the project, your business case will be further tested, not only from the technology point of view, but also from the business point of view. So you need in your work plan structure not to have only work packages that are focusing on the technological advancement of your solution, but also to test and get feedback on how profitable, what is the business potential of your solution. So this is something that is expected to be in your approach. So that's why, as I said, you need expertise, not only from the technology point of view, but also from the business point of view. So that's why we need to have that. What I say here is that we need to have SMEs and startups that we encourage that kind of suggestion. Even you're not required to have an SME or a startup already established, but you need to mention that as soon as you progress further with the development of your solution, that you will have or a startup will be created. You need to specify who will be the owner of that startup, even if possible with a percentage of ownership. That is something that we would like as specific as possible to see it in the grant application, because that shows that you're serious and you have a clear business approach on how you're going to deal with the business track. And how we're going to implement the schema that we need. I mean, we can have a consortium. We can have a consortium that can participate. We can have an individual SME, a startup, or a spin-off from that has already acquired the ownership. And we can have also a team of researchers that they are thinking as businessmen and women, as entrepreneurs from a specific, within a specific research or technology organization that they would like to go further. So in that respect, they can participate as a research or technology organization, but they will need to have to say how they're going to exploit that with a spin-off or a startup during the project execution. Okay, this is not that important. So I'm not going to go through that because already Serkan said how you go to the funding and others portal. However, just for the challenges, we have 3 key areas. One is AI on environment, environmental intelligence, exploiting big data on environment, any solution that you believe can fit there, then you can submit a challenge one. The other one is on the next generation of chips. If you have already a project from Horizon 2020, any project, even a national one, that is dealing with next generation of chips, then you might want to consider the challenges one. The competition is less, so if you are vertically addressing any of those topics, you're more than welcome to explore that further and see whether you are fulfilling their prescribed expectations, short-term or long-term. And the other one is that we have the nano bio devices for medical application. If you have already a project already active, that with some solution that you have already reached TRL 3 or 4, then it is definitely worth exploring that. And the other one is we have the transition open. Any solution that is the result of some previous projects, as we've seen from the FED, Future and Emerging Technologies, or from the proof of concept, and you wish now to advance their technological readiness level and also explore in more detail the business potential, then you definitely need to go to the transition open ones. So, okay, the reference documents, you can get them there from the funding and others portal. Serkan discussed that already. What I would like just to highlight here and give you a hint, I'm not going to go through that, but personally, I believe that a starting point is to use some tools that probably are not directly applicable for the transition fund. So why don't you use the EIC Artificial Intelligence Diagnostic Platform and do some market diligence, I mean, some market analysis. Because as I said, you need to include in your proposal also some preliminary analysis regarding your market potential. So why don't you use the diagnostic platform of the European Innovation Council and answer those questions here online, and then see what kind of result they might tell you. Yes, this solution is very innovative, or this solution is not that innovative. And that can be also an indication whether you would like to explore further on the transition fund. So for me, I think it can be a nice intelligence to exploit them, the diagnostic platform in the ESG accelerator. So we have described here the concepts. The other one is that why don't you check the winning profile of the previous projects? I mean, okay, there is a list here, but probably if you go through that with the title in Google, you will find the project website, or try to identify, if you go to the link that I have here, I think you can see more information regarding those projects. So see, when I say their profile, how ambitious they are, how innovative you think they are, how novel you think they are, and try to see whether can I provide something similar, because this is a very good indication to understand how ambitious those projects is and whether you can be that ambitious also. So that's another thing that you can have. Okay, we've discussed, and also can discuss that he discussed also the evaluation, so I'm not going to go through that. As I said, we don't have that much time. However, I would like to talk a little bit more on the evaluation criteria per section. So there are, in the proposal, you have 3 parts. You have the excellence part from the technical description, you have the impact one and the implementation one. So let's see how the excellence part will be evaluated and how the other 2 parts will be evaluated also. So one thing that we need to make sure is that we are talking about a technological advancement going from the starting TRL, whatever that is, to the end TRL, but it's going to be a breakthrough. So it is a novel technology. No one has done that before. So that technology doesn't exist. So even if it is underdeveloped, you have an advantage to that. And of course, that technology, it has to be useful. Serkan talked about the impact that we expect to have from the solution. So it's important to make sure that that solution is useful to society. Society needs that for improving quality of life of citizens. So not only new technology that no one else has done, but also applicable, which means useful technology in society. The other thing is that we need whenever we have our objectives, let's say the technological objectives, we need to have key performance indicators. How will I know that my technological-based solution has increased TRL? What will make us assess very clearly what that project has achieved the technological maturation, as we've seen? So that's one thing. And the other one is, how will we know that you progressed also from the business potential point of view? How now you're in a better position during the project execution to understand what is the business potential of your breakthrough solution. So this should be objectives that you need to have. And for the methodology, first of all, you need to make sure that the methodology is appropriate for achieving the technological objectives, but also appropriate for achieving the business-based objectives. So you need to have work packages not only focusing, as I said before, on the technological maturation, but also on further and assessing the business potential of your solution. So remember, it's the technological track and the business track that you need to address with your work packages. Of course, if there are gender aspects or that you need to consider, or you need to involve end users in your limited scale validation. If you're dealing with artificial intelligence, this is important. You need to make sure that the mechanism, whatever the algorithm is behind the artificial intelligence, it will always remain safe and secure for the users, but also it will be a reliable process that we can rely on. So this is also something that you need to provide specific information on dealing with that. Regarding the evaluation criteria on impact, so that's the second part of our proposal. We need to make sure that, first of all, we understand what we mean with expected outcomes. Expected outcomes are the short-term benefits from your project results. And as we will see a little bit later, I think, by the end of the project, this is what we mean by short-term benefits. And the expected impacts are the long-term benefits I indicate that when we talk about long-term benefits from our project solution, we need to have a window of 5 years, more or less, even more, but it's nice to have a starting number, what we need to achieve in the long term. So 5 years after the end of the project, for me, it's a nice time period. If you believe that you need more, then that's fine. You don't have that. And of course, apart from the benefits, the short-term and long-term benefits that you see, we need to see also some economic and societal benefits, not only technological ones. So are we expect to grow, to have growth? Are we expecting to penetrate new markets? So we are going to increase employability of Europe. Or are we going to improve quality of life of citizens in specific areas, in specific scenarios? So this is what you need to address in the impact section. And also, when you need to address how ready is your solution by the end of the project to attract investments. Yeah, so that's the investment readiness. If it's not still possible to attract investments, that's still fine. But you need to think about it, whether you're going to proceed by attracting some external investors, or you are going to go through the fast track to the ESG accelerator, have that funding, and then attract investors. But you need to explain how ready your solution will be by the end of the transition project to attract investors. And for the ESG transition challenges, what we have also is what are the specific impacts that are prescribed in the call, how you're going to address them. So there are specific short-term benefits. You need to show how you're going to address them. It's not like in the open that you need to think about them. In the challenges one, they have already been prescribed, as we explained. And regarding the evaluation criteria for implementation, how we are going to achieve those solutions and the business ones. So we need, first of all, a very important, and we need to understand that I have already highlighted, but once more, is the team behind it. And I remind you that in the team, we need to have technological and people with the appropriate technological expertise, but also individuals and people with the proper business mindset. So this is very important. Your proposal will not get funded if it is only technological oriented. And that happens quite often. Why? Because at least in the open calls, challenges, because you need to have a previous project from the Pathfinder or from the ERC proof of concept, that from the future and emerging technologies, which means that mostly scientists have initiated and have executed and developed those projects. So you might face the risk that you still have that kind of mentality, only the scientific one, which is essential, but it is not enough. You need to have also the additional mindset of the business-oriented ones. So how you can have that? One tip that I can give you, have an advisory board with business oriented people. If your proposal is initiated by researchers and the researchers do not have the business capacity yet, try to complement it with some other team members that they have that business capacity, but also have an advisory board of business oriented people, maybe some potential investors, so they can follow and give you some nice feedback from the business track point of view. And the other one in milestones and work plan. So, and one thing that I would like to clarify here with milestones is that we need to consider them as key performance indicators. So what does that mean? That means that we need to be able to verify whether they have been achieved. And in many cases, the example that the European Commission gives in the template is really rubbish. What I mean with that, sometimes they say prototype up and running. This is one example that they give in the proposal template. Prototype up and running, milestone 2. But a prototype can be up and running, but not as expected. So that's why you need to give an indicator, a number, what will make the milestone, what will make us satisfied and allow us to say that now the solution, the prototype, can be functional, can be operational. Maybe you say 20 or 30 or 50% prediction if it is a model, whatever that is. But you need to think about that. So this is one thing that we need to have regarding milestones. And regarding the work plan, we need, as I said, to give attention not only to the technological track, but also to the business track. So you need to have work packages, business-oriented ones. The other one that I would like you is to look risks, not only from the technology point of view risks, but identify also business-oriented risks, market-related risks. So this is something that you need to think of. It's important in the risk plan, in the table. Most of the proposals, they give just technological risks, not business-related risks, and that's a mistake. So that's why you need to address them, and of course make sure that you have the proper mitigation, preventive measures for not having those risks taking place. And of course, how expensive, how well you allocate your resources, where you give emphasis. So this is something that you need to have in mind. In I think a nice balance is in a transition fund is to have 65%, 60% of the budget to go to technological activities, or 65% to go to technological activities to advancing the maturity of your solution, and something like 35% sometimes to go to business-oriented activities. As a rule of thumb, as I said, that can fit quite well. So what are the weak points? The weak points is, remember that sometimes in the transition fund you haven't reached level 3, TRL 3, and that is the minimum one. So you cannot be less than that. And this is where many proposals have it as a weak point. We would like to have as a starting point level 4 in the transition fund. Why? Because you have already completed the first experiments successfully in the lab. And that's important, that you have a very good preliminary foundation now that gives very good potential that solution can be achieved. Because if you haven't done that in the lab experiment, and then that can be a problem. So that's why we like to have that. Also, you haven't, you went through to have a solution that no one has done that before, but without thinking what will be the benefits in society, how we are going to improve quality of life of citizens, and also how we're going to advance growth, how we're going to penetrate new markets. And that is underestimated. So that's why we need to make sure that we have that. And of course, business validation, as I said, is very important, is to have that in your track. It's not given emphasis as a mistake. What is a mistake? They don't give emphasis on market analysis, etc., in the proposal as well as in the project execution. So make sure that what I have here is that you have clear milestones, who owns what, clear budget and allocation of resources, as I said, 60-40, something like that. What is the starting TRL? What will be the end TRL? Not overlapping between the different work packages. Who will be exploiting from individuals the solution, and of course to know the credibility of your business analysis. So all this has to be part of the excellence. Just as so these are not only these are feedback on different areas in the grant application. So make sure that you're familiar with them, because that's a very good starting point for having a successful proposal in the ESG transition. Now, I'm not going to go through that. This is how you can identify the calls and you go either through the funding and portal as Serkan showed, or through the work program that we have. But let me explain to you what we mean as expect outcomes, because when you will be reading in the call, here you will see that's the call topic description. You will receive what is the expected outcome, what are the objectives, and some more information regarding the objectives and what is expected impact. So for us, we need to be at least familiar with what we mean with expected outcome and expected impact. So having said that, expected outcomes is what, first of all, expected by the end of the project. And what is expected by the end of the project is a technology that has already been demonstrated, which has been already tested with the actual intended end users, and it has been effective, beneficial for its initial purpose. And also, you need by the end of the project to have a validated business model or a business plan. What does that mean? That you have already received feedback from the end users on the business potential of your solution. And also, you need to make sure that your IP of your solution is formally protected without having any conflicts of ownership by anyone else or by any other patents. And at the same time, you have protected. One thing is to make sure that there is no conflict regarding your IPs. The other one is that you have protected your knowledge that you have created either through a patent or through a trade secret, something that you need to decide. So these are the expected short-term benefits. And then we have the expected objectives, what should be the solution, what should be the key actions that we would like to have. So as I said, to increase the maturity of the technology, till 3 to 4, to go from 5 to 6. Then analyze market research. So these are actually the objectives, but they give you also the approach, which is the preliminary work plan structure. So we need to have more packages that are dealing with this market research analysis and examining and exploring the business potential, making sure that you protect the produced knowledge and you have a competitor analysis. And any regulatory requirements, for example, if you need to have some clinical trials, so we have other challenges, nanoscale, bioscale devices for medicine, and you need to make sure how you're going to take the authorization, not only for the clinical trials, but also any approvals at a European level, in US, for example, from FDA level. So these things are the ones that you need to address. And what do we mean with expected impact? So with expected impacts, we mean the benefits from the project results, and those are not expected by the end of the project, but X years after the end of the project. So you can have that according to Article 26, you will see that it's 5 years. That you are subject to an impact audit, which implies that whatever expected impact you promise to achieve, you need to achieve it within that window, by the end of the project, within 5 years after the end of the project. So this is something that you need to have. Also, you need to make sure that your long-term benefits, whatever you're going to achieve as a benefit from your solution within 5 years or within X years, has some addressing some needs of the society, improving quality of life, as we said. And there is, you expect to have substantial, significant demand from European or global markets. And this is why you need to explore also the business potential of your solution. And I would like to stop here and congratulate you. I don't know whether it was easy to follow that. We went through a lot of information. What I would like just to remind you, and this is how I finish all my trainings, is that knowledge is not power. You have the knowledge now, and congratulations for that. However, what is power is applied knowledge. So try something that we have discussed, how that can be reflected, addressed in your case. I'm giving you here an option, try to experiment a little bit with the diagnostic tool module of the Funding and Tenders portal and the SE Accelerator. See what is the potential of your solution. Maybe it will help you to conduct the competitors' analysis or elaborate further on that. These are the starting points that I think you can do them now if you're planning to submit a proposal under the September call. it will be, if you're going to do them now for the next call in April, there is no time personally, I think so. But if you believe, let us know and we'll be more than kind to help you. So I would like to stop here and I would like to give the floor, I guess, first to Odysseus before giving the floor to Serkan. Is there any question you're going to answer now or later?
We have 3 questions in the Q&A. I don't know if you can see them so that we can address them.
So the first one that I see is from Bugra, if that is the one that
Yes,
you're
yes.
So
Yes,
I'm going to read it, and then if it is okay, I'm going to go through them, and probably please be anyone that can comment, that will be more than welcome. So we are SME, we have already applied to ESE Accelerator with one project. We are in phase 2 now, and going to resubmit the project with revisions on upcoming cutoff. We have another project which is in TRL 4. Can we apply to transition with that new project? Well, if it is not addressing any of the 3 domains that I said, which means the environmental intelligence, the new generation of chips, or the nano bio devices in medicine, you cannot apply to the transition. Why? Because it has to be a follow-up from a project, a specific type of projects. And from what I see here, this is not the case in that booklet. So I think I answered that question to you. If not, please let me know. If someone else wishes to comment, please feel free to do it. That's okay. The next one is, could you explain exploitation of innovation expectation part in the diagnosis document? I think in who cares part do we give the targeted persona description? Team part, can we give qualification in accelerometer? Can we find? This is a specific question that it is one for the accelerator. So Serkan, I'm sure that can address that after his training. What I would just say, a very quick one question, a very quick answer to that is that for the transition fund, you don't have to worry that much on understanding fully the diagnostic tool. You need that in the accelerator, but not that much in the transition. Just is to use it for getting an idea how innovative your solution is, whether there are any other related solutions to you, what you need to do in order to differentiate your solution. So it's, as the name indicates, a diagnostic, informal diagnostic tool, one of the tools that you can use. But I will leave Serkan to answer that, I guess, after his own training. I think also the next one from Tukrul is applicable for Serkan. So I can answer, but I will not answer it now.
Sure, you can.
So then Bugra says, dear Goros, can you answer my previous question, which is we are SME. We have already applied. I think we applied. I think I answered that, Bugra. Yes. Okay. So, all right. I think these are the questions for the transition fund, if I'm not mistaken. If there are any further,
yes, these are.
or if you have an answer, please let me know. And of course, by the end of the session, if there are further questions, we will be more than happy to reply to them. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So,
thank you for your attention. I will stop sharing so someone else will be able to share.
Sure. Thank you very much for your presentation, Nicholas. It was a very fast-paced and comprehensive presentation. So my presentation will feel like mindfulness training after yours. Breathing and meditation. We will just slow down a little bit, I think. So can everybody see my slide and everybody can hear my voice? Okay, I will be talking about EIC Accelerator, short and full proposal stages. I will share some tips and recommendations if I can. So our focus is deep tech innovation, fundraising and investing in Europe. Please always check EIC calls on the funding and tenders portal for the update to keep yourself up to date, and the EIC AI platform guidance. Follow them. I am still the same Serkan Bolat with the same experience, except I'm a little bit more experienced in presentations, +1 after the earlier session. So what does EIC Accelerator offer for Turkish companies, businesses of all kinds, and everybody in Europe, not just for the companies? Traditionally, it is known as a funding and support program for companies from any field. They give up to 2.5 million euros of grant and usually up to 15 million euros of equity in exchange of company shares, but it can go up to 30 million if you are working in strategic areas important for Europe. They also support business acceleration services. But I think most of the time, this accelerator program works better for VCs and investors because it provides a great deal flow for VC investment. You have more than 1,600 startups, beneficiaries or seal of excellence holders. So they are kind of registered and approved innovation projects. And you have access to co-investment opportunities with the EIC for those startups. Basically, European Innovation Council collects about 10,000 innovation projects all over Europe and from associated countries, selects them, and they sort them out for the best proposals, and they give investment 2.5 million euros, and they de-risk VC's investment risks by investing, by giving them business acceleration services, networking, partnering in all over the world. So VCs have a narrow deal flow with highly likelihood for success. It is also a partnership program for innovation ecosystem actors, including incubators, universities, large corporations, and consultancies, because they all work together to create the deep tech innovation ecosystem in Europe, and they contribute to each other's success indicators. And ultimately, all the EIC and Horizon Europe programs serve United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and our priorities and values, including people, planet, prosperity, those 5 Ps of UN Sustainable Development Goals. So when I look at this company valuation graph from EIC Impact Report from 2022, I'm always amazed by this line going up and up every year. In just last year, within the last 12 months, we had a new unicorn, EIC-funded unicorn, with high valuations. These are all influenced by EIC business acceleration services, funding, grants, networking, partnering, and all those VC companies registered with the EIC network. Most of the accelerator beneficiaries are small companies, but also 90% of the beneficiaries are older than 5 years. This is an important consideration. So one of the latest unicorns is Pascal. This is a company from France. It is a university spin-off, co-founded by Professor Alan Aspect, Nobel laureate in physics 2022, but the company was founded in 2019, before our professor was awarded Nobel Prize. So this company raised 100 million as Series B funding, and it is working on neutral atoms quantum computing, which will be commercialized in 2024 for public mass, but they already started gaining market traction. Today they have 100 employees, but they will double it after this 100 million Series B investment. And they were a blended finance accelerated pilot beneficiary from October 2020 cutoff. So here are links to their company introduction videos. At that time, when they applied for EIC Accelerator funding in October 2020, we didn't have EIC AI platform and pitch video requirement, but they still created these videos and published them on their YouTube webpage and shared them with potential VCs. So if you think proposal requirements, including pitch deck, pitch video, all the questions in the online form are just for formality, just for procedural requirements, you are probably wrong, because whatever EIC expects from you, all those requirements, all those efforts also works for VC funding and national funding. We don't have time for right now, but you can check these videos. These two short videos, when combined, could make a great video pitch for short applications. So welcome to EIC Accelerator. Regardless of where you are from, what kind of company you are managing, what kind of industry or market you are serving, or how many people you employ, you are eligible for EIC Accelerator. This is for sure. I was just looking at some data and some websites this morning. I just came up with a few items about how Turkish is stronger than we think, actually. Ministry of Industry and Technology manages a support program called Hamle. It is a technology-focused industrial action plan. All those companies supported by this program is eligible for EIC Accelerator. All companies funded by TÜBİTAK are eligible for this program. We have Turkish Export Assembly with more than 100,000 members from 27 industries. So they create value for global markets. But among those 100,000 companies, how many of them did apply for EIC Accelerator so far? We had about 100 applications, short applications for EIC Accelerator each year. This is very low and it doesn't reflect our Turkish potential. We are very strong in agriculture, food supply, tourism. There are organized industrial zones. Technoparks are these centers all over Turkey. We have great talent in software development, optimization, supply chain design, crisis management. And people from all over the world come and get their treatment in our hospitals. We are strong in health sector, health tourism as well. So when you remember the war between Ukraine and Russia, you see food could be used as a weapon between countries. It's not a traditional or literally, it's not a weapon, but it's used as a weapon to isolate countries and to push them back. So if you look at the challenges we can face in the next 10, 20 years, Turkey has a great potential to influence the future of Europe. With all these talents and the industries, it is already strong. You know, we use the term SME, small and medium-sized enterprise, but actually 99% of companies in Europe are already SMEs. But for technical reasons, legal reasons, we use SME, but I think it is better to replace SME with any business. So if you employ less than 250 people and you have annual turnover less than 1 billion Turkish lira, you are eligible for EIC Accelerator. You don't have to apply this program as a company. If you are an individual working in an R&D center, working in a large company, if you have an idea about to develop a prototype, you can also apply as an individual. Once you pass short proposal and full proposal stages, before the grant agreement signature, you can establish your company. Or if you or one of your colleagues working or studying in the United States or South Korea, China, which is not an EU member state or associate country, they can still apply. Investors, they can apply on behalf of SMEs. The reason that we use SME, in the end, grant agreement will be signed with the SME, but in the application stage, as individual, as a large company, as an investor, you can still apply and test your idea. So I need to take a moment to broaden our perspective about deep technologies and need to add non-tech, deep tech, if you will. Maybe we can take Nobel Prizes as a reference point. As you know, Nobel Prizes are given hardcore science achievements after they become influential in our society and in those disciplines, like physics, chemistry, physiology, or medicine. One of them here, pioneering quantum information science, turned into a company called Pascal, as I mentioned before. And one of the co-founders was a Nobel laureate. And we also received a lot of proposals working on lithium-ion batteries, viruses. They sometimes create their own disciplines, combining several disciplines and scientific fields, and they name that field and develop their innovations. So it is always important to build your case and support them with strong arguments. They don't have to be based on 30 years of hardcore scientific studies. As an SME, as a business, you are not always expected to develop that research background. you can always transfer that background, that IP from universities, from large corporations, research teams, or other companies, and you can build your value creation network. What I want to actually highlight the importance of deep non-tech areas like literature, peace, and economic sciences. When you look at these areas and scientific scholarly progress, actually they are more influential and impactful on our humanity. They are highly likely to positively contribute to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals like democracy, ending global poverty, or ending the use of food as a weapon, or invention of new auction formats like platform-based service businesses. I just want us to broaden our spectrum before thinking and finalizing our ideas, whether they are eligible, whether they are breakthrough, whether your business operates in the right industry, whether you serve to right market, whether it is early or late to apply for accelerator support. So here are EIC Accelerator Challenge call topics. We have 7 topics here. Each has a different budget, different scope, expected impact, eligibility conditions. All short applications to Accelerator program are submitted to open call, so you are not allowed to select a challenge during short application stage. But when it comes to full proposal stage, you need to specify whether it's going to be open call submission or a challenge call. For each challenge, there is a different call. Under EIC AI platform, you need to just click a multi-choice question to select your challenge. But you can still submit your submission application to open call, even if it is clearly a good fit for challenge. It's up to you. There is no much difference, at least evidently, between the success rates of challenge and open calls. We can discuss this later if you have any detailed questions. So here is a list of examples from funded projects in 2022. If you look at these project topics, in 2022, more than 200 projects were funded in accelerated program. There are some interesting next generation projects here, like quantum computers, but there are also many traditional industries like milk, car safety and driving experience, or supply chain. So this program is open to all industries as long as you push the state of the art in business practices or in science in those fields. We have 4 different funding types. You can apply for grant first, grant only, or blended finance, full blended, or equity only. Grant only supports innovation activities, development, prototyping, piloting, or your planning effort for commercialization activities. You can plan for commercialization during your grant supported project, but you cannot execute those plans with the grant support. For equity part, you can use that money for any reason, sales, manufacturing, distribution, or you can also use that money to co-finance your grant supported project. If you have a grant first project, you need to specify a key milestone. If you achieve that key milestone in terms of business and technological validations, that means you are eligible for equity support if you'd like. Grant first means you need additional validations before deciding to further develop your technology and launch it in the market. That's why you don't have to fill out the full proposal at its entirety. Full proposals, as short proposals, have 3 different sections mainly: ideation, development, and go-to-market. Grant first applicants do not need to give a full go-to-market section. If you are applying for grant-only support, that means you already have money either coming from VC or your projected revenues for the equity part, commercialization activities. You also have another option for blended finance, where you can combine grant and equity together, or if you already at TRL 9 or so, for the commercialization growth to become a global brand, you can just apply for equity, which means you will give about 10% of your company shares for the money you receive as an equity from the EIC. If you are a small mid-cap, which means you have up to 500 employees, you can only apply for equity-only support. So they don't award you grants. Here is how EIC Accelerator program works. Let's say you are targeting June 7 cutoff, then you need to submit your short proposal by late April at the latest. When you submit your short proposal, it's an ongoing process. It will be evaluated immediately. Within 2 to 4 weeks, you will get a result. Short applications are evaluated against only 5 criteria, and you will receive just one go or no-go decision. There isn't any specific evaluation for each criteria. Just one go or no-go decision will come from 4 evaluators. If you receive 2 go, you will pass to full proposal stage. So by the time you receive your short proposal evaluation report, you have 1 year to submit your full proposal. You don't have to submit right away at the first cutoff. So we have open and challenge calls in June and October. You will submit your full proposal through online forms and attachments. Then 3 evaluators will be evaluating your proposal against up to 15 criteria, and they will give you go or no-go for each criteria. So in total, you will receive 9 decisions, and you need to have 9 go to pass the jury stage. I will give you more detail on this later. For jury interviews, the dates are almost set. They skip the summer, and you will wait a little bit more if you submit for June 7 call. In mid-September, within 1 or 2 weeks, you will have jury interviews with 4 to 6 jury members in Brussels or online, and you will receive the results in 2 to 3 weeks. And after the results are announced, you will sign a grant agreement with European Commission Executive Agency. If you request also equity funding, then you will have another process. With European Innovation Council Fund, they will do due diligence, and they will prepare an investment agreement. They will negotiate with you on the milestones, company valuation, etc. So you will have 2 separate agreements, one for grant, one for investment, but you can start your grant-supported project as soon as you receive the positive results from the European Commission. Then it will take maybe 6 to 8 months to complete the due diligence, and you will start receiving your investment payments before your grant-supported project ends. So if you are not successful at your first submission, we have some resubmission rules. These are monitored by applicant peak, not by project. So if you have a project that is rejected twice, you need to wait at least 1 year. You can still not submit another project before that 1 year. You can check the details here. If you keep following our events at this short proposal, I think you will not need to resubmit it because it will be approved at first submission. Here are some tips: either short proposal, full proposal, jury interview, or whether you are requesting money from VC companies. Some fundraising hits for breakthrough innovators. Sell the problem before the solution. You need to highlight the need and urgency for the problem first, and then you need to offer your solution. Some scientists try to push their technology before seeing the market demand, before the market pull. But if you first emphasize the importance of the solution problem, I think VCs would be more interested, and the customers would be more interested in your solution. Show your authenticity, build your own case with your own arguments. There is no single formula to win. For example, you don't have to have certain number of team members or with certain backgrounds in your team. Or you don't have to have a specific ROI to be supported by the EIC. You don't have to decrease the amount you request from the EIC to increase your likelihood of success. You may request just 1 million euros. Another applicant can request 2 million euros for grant, 15 million euros of investment, but they can still succeed if the impact is higher in their project. Focus on all project dimensions. One strength cannot make you win, but one weakness make you lose. For example, just because you have a great team, You cannot take it for granted for the rest of the project. You need to have a great market study, market traction, customer development, etc. Evaluation reports and feedback from the VCs, investors are important, but they are not binding. For example, in your submissions, you will have evaluation reports from previous submissions. You need to take them seriously and reply them in your next submission. But just because you do everything requested in your evaluation reports doesn't necessarily mean you will win the grant in your resubmission. So you can always counter-argue with evaluation reports and experts. They are not legally binding and provide clear, comprehensible views without leaving much room for subjective reasoning for the evaluators. They should be on your board. You should dream together. They shouldn't draw their own conclusions. You should provide them facts, evidence, a good planning and action support to those plans so that they can have the same conclusions for the future of your innovation with you. And there are some red flags, incompatibilities with the scope of the program or evaluation criteria. I would highly suggest you keep evaluation criteria handy on your desk while writing your proposal and provide clear and consistent information throughout the proposal. Did you receive VC investment? What was the company valuation? If you give different information in your storytelling, in the online form, in the pitch deck, and in the uploaded financial information Excel sheet, that would decrease your credibility and persuasiveness. And you should definitely give some kind of documentation, preferably letters of support from VCs to show them, to show the evaluators that your innovation is interesting, your team is great, but because of certain technological risks, economic risks, or thematic area insuitability, the VCs you are in negotiation, are not interested investing in your company now, but if the EIC invests in your project, they might be co-investors along with them. This would be great, particularly under implementation criteria, the need for EIC support, impact of EIC support, and your previous fundraising efforts and the risks of investment from the European VC industry, VC firms perspective are very influential. So excessive or unfocused use of buzzwords just kill the evaluators' excitement. If you say, I'm developing the first in the world AI development, cloud-based next generation, cutting edge technology, if you use such words too many times, you need to support them with strong evidence and explanations, particularly if you are working on AI-based solutions, and there is a specific criteria under excellence associated with technology readiness level. You need to provide model safety risk issues with your EIC, with your AI models and algorithms. So I have two reminders before short proposal stage in EIC language and terminology. You need to look at the ideas and concepts in these books, because full proposal specifically and literally refers to those business model canvas, Michael Porter's 5 forces for industry analysis, and technology adoption life cycle in the Closing the Chasm book, and customer development, lean startup, and creating new markets. All these terminology will be used in full proposal development. And business canvas is a classic. It is necessary before short proposal development, before full proposal development, and during your project execution. It is always a good reference to revise, to think about how your business evolves. And value creation network. This is an example from a biotech industry for medicine or treatment developers. So this is a value creation network. This reminds me this from discovery to distribution, like Pathfinder, transition, and accelerators. This is kind of, and within each of these columns, we have another cycles of Pathfinder, transition, and accelerator development stages, if you will. So these actors are very important to specify in your project in your full proposal, you will develop your value creation network. Please pay attention to this later. And this is from both short and full proposal. In order to convince evaluators that your innovation is highly demanded and useful, you will create different use cases. Not all the solutions are the best for all use cases, so you will select competitors, direct or indirect, for each use case comparisons, and you will explain and justify why all those features are needed to develop in work packages. This is the AI platform. Most of you may be familiar. It has 3 options under its menu. Under discovery, this is an optional item. Under discovery, you just search for funding options for European and national funding, not just grants, but also from VCs. Under diagnostic, you need to create your short proposal and submit it. And design is only accessible once your short proposal is accepted. Here are the forms and attachments for accelerator applications. In short application, you have about 20 questions. Half of them are multiple choice questions. You need to fill them out in the online form. And you need to upload 2 files. Maximum 10-slide pitch deck and 3-minute pitch video. You will change this pitch deck in your full application if it is accepted, because there is no slide limit in your pitch deck for the full application, and you will use that pitch deck for jury interview as well. You will not be allowed to change your pitch deck for jury interview. So keep it short, brief, because you will just have 10 minutes to present that pitch deck. Within 45 minutes, jury interview. You have optional 2 parts, letters of intent and annex. Most people don't upload annex, but letters of intent is kind of mandatory, although it is legally optional, because people want to see support letters from customers, partners, particularly from VC firms. And there are also mandatory uploads, financial information, and growth projections in Excel sheet, data management plan, freedom to operate analysis. For jury interview, there is no specific predetermined set of questions. Jury can ask any question about anything. They can negotiate with you. They can also make recommendations. If they say go for your proposal, they may be about company valuations, or if you put some activities, some cost items under grant supported work packages, but actually they are about commercialization, sales, marketing, and distribution, they can just transfer that amount under grant to investment. So they will give you less grant than you expect and maybe more investment than you want. Here is the content of short application form. Although they request you to identify a funding amount and funding request type, like I want 2 million euros of grant and 5 million euros of investment. This is just for information purposes only, and you can change it in full application. Both short and full application have the same sections, ideation, development, and go-to-market, but short application is very short by definition. There are a number of questions with just 1,000 character limit to answer them. What is your innovation? What is that innovation's superiorities and competitive advantages in comparison with existing alternative solutions? Who are your team members and why do you think they are a good fit for the project? And your scale-up potential. Those are the 3 most important things among those 20 questions. Let me remind you, there is a fast-track scheme. If you receive funding from certain Horizon Europe or Horizon 2020 programs, you may be eligible to skip short application stage, and you can just directly submit your full proposal. So video pitch should focus on team innovation and main motivation behind the application. It would be great if you can demo your prototype. You can declare TRL 5 by the time you have achieved TRL 4. This is a little interesting and against most practices in all over the world, because most of the time they request you to pass TRL 5 to declare that you are at TRL 5. You can revise most things in your short application while you are developing your full application, So don't spend too much time to give every detail in your short application. Most important parts as a pre-screening tool, your innovative idea, its impact in the market and in your company in terms of growth, job creation, and competitiveness, and team, a committed team with the necessary expertise. These are the focus of the short application. So don't try to give too much information about technological accomplishments, work packages. You can add risks, those are necessary, but don't overthink. So we have a full proposal. It is more detailed, as you see in this illustration, ideation, development, and go-to-market. I have some reminders for full application too. You have 3-day optional free EIC business coaching. Whenever you want, you can use it at your first submission or at the second if you are rejected in the first time. Please look at the evaluation criteria while you are developing your full proposal and giving your explanations and justifications, because evaluators will look at the evaluation criteria and will give go or no go under 3 evaluation criteria, not just by looking each answers you give to questions. You don't need to attach CVs, company introduction document, extra business planning as an annex, because all the information needed is already in the online forms and attachments. You should certainly address evaluator comments, even if you go 4 go from short application or 8 go from the full application first submission. You should always share what you changed in your next submission. And if there is any area that you are disagreeing with the evaluators, you also need to explain them. And one important thing is evaluations are based on application context and merit, not in comparison with other applications, which means a TRL 5 applicants may have a higher likelihood for success than TRL 8 or 9 applicants. Just because you are closer to the market doesn't necessarily mean you have a higher chance to succeed in EIC VC fundraising effort. These are the evaluation criteria. For short applications, we have just 5 application. We have just 5 evaluation criteria here. And in addition to those 5 criteria, we have a separate set of criteria for full applications. In total, they constitute full application evaluation criteria. For challenge course, there are 2 additional objective and impact criteria here. So you will be evaluated against 2 more criteria if you submit your application to challenge course. So what accelerator beneficiaries have in common? This is my last slide. They all the winners, all the beneficiaries, they target an important and growing problem for the entire humanity, and they solve it completely. Sometimes you don't experience the problem. For example, if I am sick, if it is my problem, but if my colleague is sick, if one of my family members is sick, it is also my problem. If there is a war in other regions in the world, it also has negative consequences in my life, in my country. So target an important problem, not necessarily all the customers will need to have that problem, but in general, society need to feel that problem as a challenge for the next decade. They all benefit, utilize either tech or non-tech scientific progress, scholarly progress, and they try to solve this problem with a committed team with the necessary talent. You don't have to have the entire team you need for the accelerator project right at the beginning of the proposal application, either short or full proposal. But you need to specify the roles and responsibilities you will need during the project, and you can give the names of team members in your proposal and add new roles that you will fill through this or that recruitment strategies during the project. That would work too. And these teams have scientific approach to entrepreneurship, innovation management, technology development, just like they have the same disciplined methodological practices in their scientific research studies. They use evidence, data, and metrics and certain methodologies like lean startup and business model development. And certainly they benefit from value creation networks. Eventually, Pathfinder may be about visionary ideas and research, but Accelerator is about execution. So your ideas already tested at the latest in short proposal stages. Now you need to create the value creation network and implement your project. Cross-industry, multidisciplinary research, innovation, and value creation networks. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, you can always access us later by email or by phone. Please follow us on social media because we share all the events and updates and all the opportunities on Twitter and LinkedIn, and all the recordings and presentations on our website, freely accessible just like any of our events and supports, including mentoring and one-to-one support. So now, if you have any questions, we can answer them.
Thank you, Serkan. Yes, I believe we have a few questions. Can you check the Q&A so that we can see if we can answer them? One of them is for Tarek, probably. It's about the TÜBİTAK project. Yes.
Okay. I can read the questions from Fatma Öztürk. I'm a principal investigator of TÜBİTAK TEYDEP 1512 project. So I am founder of an SME. The project will be completed in September 2023 and will be reaching TRL 4. We are working in an environmental technologies domain. Can we apply to SME accelerated program? I see a lot of applicants from Turkey who received funding from TÜBİTAK, including TÜBİTAK TEYDEP 1512. If you are an SME, if you are at TRL 4, you need to bring it to TRL 5 to be eligible for accelerator, because minimum requirement in terms of technology readiness level is TRL 5. That's the only issue for the moment. I'm not sure if Tarık Bey want to add anything, or you or Nicholas. TÜBİTAK TEYDEP is a national funding instrument to support entrepreneurship. And some reach TRL 4, some reach TRL 6, 7, or they already commercialize their product by the end of the project. So you need to adjust your targets a little bit by the end of the project. When you reach TRL 5, 6, you can apply. You could be a strong applicant. Buğra Bey has another question. We are in, this is, Buğra Bey, is it okay to get investments from angel investors, VCs, if you are applying to blended finance? Yes, it is okay, and it would be great to receive investments from angel investors, venture firms, before applying for blended finance. It would definitely strengthen your application. And you can also keep receiving investment throughout your project. As long as these investors don't support you, as long as they don't give you the whole amount you need for the project, you are eligible, a good candidate for EIC blended finance support. But if you are already able to receive enough money from VC for the entire project, for the entire amount you need, and EIC would probably have some reservations, because you don't need EIC support. The VC industry already supports you. Efe Değirmenci, jury interview takes place face-to-face or through online. It started as a face-to-face interview, a pitching event, but currently it turned into an online pitching. So they send you an email with the time, date, and link, and you pitch your innovation through online meetings. Up to 6 jury members, sometimes program managers or European Investment Bank representatives also participate in jury interviews. Although they ask questions, they don't have a voting right. This is basically how it works. So it will probably be online at the next cutoff. Tuğrul Karasarlıoğlu, has a question. We finished Horizon 20 project and reached TRL 6. Can we apply to accelerator to take it to TRL 8? Yes, you can apply as a TRL 6 technology developer, but it is better to revise your target to TRL 9 because all accelerator applicants try to reach market. This is not a research support. This is not a technology development support. This is a support for scale-ups, for growing, fast-growing companies. So if you target TRL 9 in your project, you are eligible and you could be a great candidate as a company supported by Horizon 2020 before. I see a lot of beneficiaries. They received funding from SME Instrument Phase 1 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Now they are a great candidate. They turn into a great candidate during that 3-4 years because they receive funding from VCs, they develop technology, and they have market traction, and they build a better team. They have a value creation network, supply chain. So if you're a previous beneficiary, don't miss this chance. Take it to TRL 9. How many advisors can we add our team? As many as you like. There is no limit. There is no limit or winning formula. You can have 4 people team or 40 people team. You can ask for 1 million euros or 10 million euros. You may have advisor board or not. You can have contractors, subcontractors or not. You can allocate just 100,000 K for contractors or 1 million euros for contractors. You have the same chance as long as they serve the purpose. We are in SME. We have already applied to EIC Accelerator with 1 project. This was answered, I guess. You can apply to transition. Yes. A company can apply with 2 different projects to 2 different programs under EIC, as long as you don't try to fund the same activity from 2 different programs at the same time, which is called double funding. Just please pay attention to double funding concerns. And you cannot apply with more than 1 project to accelerator concurrently. It would be concurrent submission and it is not allowed. Just pick 1 project for accelerator, but at the same time, you can also apply with a different project to a different program like transition or Pathfinder. Or for Pathfinder, you can submit a project for open call, and in the next call, you can also submit another project, or for the same project, you can revise it to make it suitable for the challenge call. So you can apply open and challenge calls for Pathfinder within the same year. Thank you very much for listening, for spending your afternoon with us. Turul Bey, thank you very much as well.
Thank you all. If there are no other questions, Tariq, would you like to add anything, or can we close the webinar?
No, thank you very much. As far as I see, there were very nice questions, which means that we managed to create a question mark in the minds. So I hope that we will have fruitful results in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Don't forget that you can find all the training material in our help desk.
It was a very intense day. Have a nice evening.
Take care, everyone. Keep up the good work. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Good luck to everyone. We are expecting your questions if you'd like, by email, phone, social media.
Yes.